Hello, everyone. It is Ocarina October, and I wanted to show a pendant universal tab generator I've created, as well as a bunch of tabs that you can use for basically any pendants that follows, somewhat of a regular layout. So, as many people know, the thing about pendant ocarinas is that almost all of them have some sort of unique finger pattern. I have two pendants. I have a focal link and I have an old STL, and both of them have non-standard fingering layouts. And so when I would download tabs in the internet, I would find that a lot of the tabs would require conversion because the fingerings wouldn't exactly match what was in the songbook that I would get. So, for example, if you have a normal six-hole ocarina, um, the B is usually down here, whereas on the focal link it's up there, and then on my old STL from like 2007 or 8, it's a 5 hole, and it says right here um, that that there's changes also to the B, and changes to one of the A sharp B flat. And so what you can do is get your songbook that came with your ocarina, or just use a tuner and find the correct layouts, and then write down basically the correct fingering for each note. And like on here, if you don't know what it is, and you're just going off your songbook, it says play this T, which is down here, which is B. So that would mean that the B on most tabs would require a change. So I downloaded a pack of tabs, and I don't know where I got it from. I downloaded it over a decade ago. It may have been from the STL forums or something. But anyway, what I realized is that it's kind of nice to have tabs in HTML because they all link to the same images. So what that means is that if you change the images, you change the fingering on all of the songbooks. So within this pack, there's a HTML called scale. So here's what it looks like, and it goes through the default fingerings for each note, and you can then adapt your specific ocarina fingering to this one. So this is kind of the default 6-hole fingering, and so to do that, all you have to do is go down to the images and then open up an image. See, this is I guess that's a real low 3A, and then okay, so here's C, which is normally all the holes are closed. So you just edit it in Paint or whatever sort of image editor you have, and then you can just go in and change, like, however it is in your songbook. So you can correct the specific notes that that are down here, so that way it matches exactly what your little booklet says. So I'll just show you an example. For my songbird, I changed a couple of the images, and now if I open the scale, it has the changes to the B, and then the change to was it A sharp? I believe it was A sharp. And then I also marked the notes that are out of the range. So if I open up a tab, HTML and the notes are out of the range, they're kind of marked, and I can either move on or figure out what I'm going to do from there. So that makes it real easy to work with any sort of 6-hole. And even if you have some sort of strange pendants, you can just completely change the images to something else that looks more like what your pendant looks like. So I'll just show you a couple of the tabs. So here's what they look like. And then in this one, since it doesn't have the 2 holes at the bottom, I only indicated when it was kind of relevant. So I guess I'll go back to the more standard one. So in this one, this is what it would look like in the standard one. And so there you go. You can automatically change all of these tabs to whatever your layout is like. And I've gone through all of these tabs and kind of edited them, modified them, tried to make them sound better. Some of them I completely redid because they didn't sound right. Some of them I made myself and added them to this pack, so that way there's a good variety of different types of songs you might want to play. So the nice thing about HTML is it's sort of a universal format. You can put it on a phone, you can put it on a Mac. It'll always work. And then you can also, if you desire, you can go and print them off and make your own booklet or whatever you want to do with them. They just have very wide compatibility. So the next thing I wanted to show is the tab generator. So I created this Excel spreadsheet that is sort of a tabs creator, and you need any version of Excel made in the past 20 years. I think it works in the 97 and above version. So if you want to use the generator, you do need Excel, and I believe that's only on Windows computers. So this spreadsheet just makes it easy to generate your own tabs. So I'll just give you an example. You can just add on tabs, and then it plays the little note. I recorded all the notes off my Takashi double, and I verified through a tuner that the notes are in tune. And then I guess I'll go through the buttons. So there's insert custom text. If you want to add a text, you can click that and it'll add it. You just change whatever's up here. And then backspace obviously is the backspace. Create song file generates the HTML. Delete all clears everything. And then HTML importer is if, for example, you want to hear what one of these sounds like, and then you can play it. And then it uses a Windows built-in music player, so that way you don't need some strange program to run it. And so there's a quick how-to in the spreadsheet just to make things easier. Sheet 2, kind of, if you really want to get a little more technical, basically column A is what the HTML file is that's going to be generated. So I'll just show you what HTML looks like. And these are super simple. All it's doing is having a title. The BR in brackets is just skip space, and then these are all the various images. So pretty simple. Right here, column B, these are all image positioning data for the workspace over here. And then over on the right side, these are the music files that play. So I believe this is what is currently in the workspace over here. So I have D, E, F, and F sharp. So it's going to play those files out of the folder. And then this column Q is the playlist if you import an HTML file. So right here, this is the play button for the workspace. And then to stop playing, you just hold escape. That doesn't work if you have tons of notes loaded for some reason, but whatever, works well enough. Play range is if you just want to play a particular section, so you would go and do, this would play note 2 to 3, so 1, 2, 3, so it'll play E and F. And then up here, note image toggle is, say you have 50 notes on your workspace, but you realize you want to change one of them. Well, then if I want to change like the third one, I can change this F to, let's say, an E. Oops. So the overwrite mode is on. And then there we go. Okay, so that, yeah, so then make sure to turn it off. So that's how you would swap them out. Then there's, little space markers to denote spaces. These RE and X2, all they do is add text. So this says, just repeat or do it twice. This line break indicates basically one of these BR in brackets, go to the next line. This workspace is not an exact copy of what's in the HTML. If you want to go to a new line, you would have to do that and then continue. So the workspace is more of a workspace. It's not an exact mirror of the HTML, so just keep that in mind. So this just makes it a lot easier to create your own custom tabs, your own music. Make sure you put a song title in there, and then once you're done, you can create a new HTML file, and then there you go. You'll have another tab that works off the same images. And these images up top also link to those images, so if you change them, they will update also. One thing to keep in mind, I put it inside of another folder with the same name, so that's why there's 2 layers of folders, because for some reason that was the only way I could get these images to update. If you just copy only this folder around, it seems to retain the original images, so that's why I have 2 other setups here, one for my focal length, one for my STL, and I just copied this folder and then renamed it. So if you go into it, you can see that's why there's sort of 2 layers of folders. That way the images in the spreadsheet actually update. And then you see in my focal length, I have not only the changes, but I also marked these sharps that are not actually in the songbook that came with my ocarina. There's also 4 extra buttons. You can change those if you have some sort of super extended range or something. You can modify those. You may even be able to convert this whole thing to like a 12-hole tabs generator, but I'm not going that far with it. I know a lot of people say sheet music is way better than tabs, and of course I agree, but I do think tabs, especially with pendants, have their place, because like, for example, like I'll play sheet music off of my double or my 12 holes, but then for a pendant ocarina, I don't really want to spend time learning all the sharps and all the various fingerings that I would need for each one. And so having tabs just makes it kind of a quick, casual way to play songs without much effort. If you don't know the rhythm, of course, that's the greatest flaw of tabs. You just go to YouTube, search the song, and you'll be able to find it. So I also wanted to show like a good way of doing that. If you have MIDI files for songs, you can download Musescore, which is free, and it's a sheet editor. And I'll just give you like a super quick way of, or a super quick tutorial on how to kind of set up Musescore to work correctly. So if you press F10, you open up the player, so you can swap out what your sounds are. So you can set it to ocarina, so that way it sounds more like an ocarina, or you can set it to whatever you want it to be, whatever you prefer. Don't know why the piano's not playing. Okay, so another thing you might want to do is see how that's a bass note. Obviously, these notes are a little different, so you can just drag the treble clef on there, and now it's converted to a tenor, or whatever you call a treble clef. And then also, if it's in a different, say if like the music is in I don't know, F sharp or G minor or whatever, you can then convert it back to just straight C. Especially like if you have a G pendant or something, you can set it back to C. And then what you can do is, to make it real easy, for example, like this is fairly within the range. However, you can see down here it drops down to A, so it's a little out of the range. So what you can do is, if you click the lines and then hold shift and go along there, you can only select the I guess the non-bass notes, because if you just control A and start moving things, it will mess up, because it will start accounting for the bass. So like if you hold control and up arrow, you can transpose to an octave higher or an octave lower, whatever you want. Or you can just use the arrow keys without control to kind of nudge them along. And if you want to keep things easier, you can look for a pattern that doesn't use a lot of sharps or flats. And you might want to also test it, because obviously certain music sounds better when certain notes are being played by certain keys. So anyway, this is a super easy way to kind of get music to fit into your range of your pendant. And then once it's in the range, so like you can go D, 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 and then you can open up here, you can go in there, and you can start transcribing it to tabs. And so that's like a good way of making sure that you're not just guessing or you're listening very closely. It just makes it a lot easier to get somewhat accurate tabs. And of course, if you go on the Musescore website, you can search almost any song, and a lot of the sheet music you have to buy, but there's a checkbox that you can click to do free to download, and then you can just download them, load them up in here. Or like I said earlier, you can find MIDI files on some websites like Flute Tunes, and they also work just fine in here as well. So anyway, let me see if I covered everything. Yeah, so if you try to overwrite a song file, it'll have a warning text to warn you that you're going to do that if you forget to change the title and then you go on to create a new song. Yeah, so that's everything. So if you want to add your own HTML tabs and let other people download them and use them, that's great. And if you have any ideas, if you want me to try to do it, I can give it a shot. But yeah, if you have any questions, just shoot me a message. I'll try to help. If you have any improvements, of course, those are always welcome as well. But yeah, thanks, and have a good one.